I'd like to talk about a method of discussion that I've seen come up a lot on YouTube. A lot of people use it, and I've seen it come up a lot in real life as well. It's this style of discussion where people tend to launch attacks based on peripheral or tangential issues or unrelated issues rather than the topic under discussion. Perhaps the best way to explain what I mean is to cite a few examples. One of my most controversial videos is my discussion of the Council of Nicaea, and the question, was the divinity of Jesus Christ established at the Council of Nicaea? That particular video got some people very angry. My contention was that the divinity of Christ was not determined there, and we have ample historical evidence to that effect. But some people got very angry and they said, well, you still haven't proven that Jesus Christ is God incarnate, or you still haven't proven that the Bible is true. Absolutely right. That's because those were not the intended topics of the video. In other words, I chose a particular topic to address. And did I choose not to address these other topics? Certainly. That's because those were the issues that are worthy of additional discussion at some other time. I think it's a little bit unfair to castigate me for failing to discuss whether Jesus Christ is divine or not if my intended topic was one very specific, related but separate issue. Here's another example. One of my videos talks about the Gospels and the question, is the existence of bias in the Gospels sufficient to dismiss their claims? Some people say, because they're biased, you need to disregard them outright. But real historians know better. Real historians know that historical accounts will generally contain an element of bias that doesn't make them automatically unreliable. In fact, when it comes to claims such as the resurrection of Jesus Christ, you will expect strong bias one way or another, either for or against. Now, some people responded by saying, yeah, but you still haven't proven that the Bible is true, or you still haven't proven that Jesus is God. Once again, same problem. Those are very important topics to discuss, but they were beyond the specific issue that I chose to address. That sort of thing comes up all the time in discussions like these, though. Some of my videos talk about the fine-tuning of the universe, how I contend that the physical constants of the universe were selected to an incredible degree, fine-tuned to an incredible degree, so as to support life. And a number of people responded by saying, well, what makes you say that evolution is untrue? You have not proven that evolution is untrue. I said nothing about evolution in the videos. To castigate me for failing to tackle that topic in the course of these discussions is unfair. Same thing happens when people say, how can you possibly believe that? Do you not understand Darwin's theories? I said nothing about Darwin. We're talking about the development of the universe itself and how the universe exhibits signs of fine-tuning. The issue of how life came about on Earth is another matter altogether. It's an important matter, and I will agree that it's related, but you can discuss that matter regardless of whether you agree that the universe itself shows signs of fine-tuning or not. They are distinct issues, related but distinct. By the way, Christians are guilty of the same thing on occasion. I've seen people talk about the divinity of Christ, and they argue unrelated, or instead of tackling that specific topic, they talk about things like how the Bible has changed their life and so forth and so on. I'm all for giving testimonies as appropriate, but that type of a response really doesn't address the specific issues that someone raises. And I think we should avoid that whenever possible. I refer to this as scattershot argumentation, by the way. The idea being that instead of aiming for the target, instead of tackling the topic that is under discussion, especially in a video or in an article, people sometimes tend to, how do I put it, scatter their shot far and wide. In other words, they throw ammunition wherever they can, even if it's not really aimed at the particular target. I think what happens when people are more interested in getting their licks in however they can, rather than really listening to the other person, attempting to understand their situation, their beliefs, and attempting to refute it in an orderly fashion. That's a skill that everyone needs to develop. It's a hallmark of scholarly thinking. It's a hallmark of rational thinking, to recognize which issues are really relevant to the topic under discussion. Like I said, by saying this, I'm not denying that these other topics are worthy of consideration. Should we talk about whether Jesus Christ is God or not? Absolutely. Should we talk about biblical inspiration? Absolutely. Should we talk about how to interpret particular passages? Yes. but stick to the topics that are discussed in the videos or in articles or whatever, as opposed to say going hither and yon. That's a sign of disorderly thinking. If an atheist were to launch a complaint about a particular Bible passage, I think it would be poor form to attack his lack of belief in God. At least not unless the discussion kind of evolved in that direction. And yet that's the sort of discussion that comes about on YouTube all the time. It's how a lot of people tend to think in a haphazard manner. My challenge to the Christian community as well as the atheistic community would be to learn to focus specifically, to tackle the topics one at a time, recognizing that that's how careful thinkers operate. They tackle one topic and then proceed to another, perhaps exploring the implications of one topic leading into another, instead of just scattering shot far and wide.